Hi guys, grab a coffee. I'm in my BMW M235i with the N55 engine and the 8-speed ZF box, and I just want to talk to you about the E92 BMW M3, and I'll cover it off in a few different sections. Number one, looks. I think that was the last good-looking coupe M3 that BMW made. Obviously, after that, they started calling them M4s, but I do believe that the M4s simply do not look or have the same looks that the E92 M3 does. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. That's just a personal preference. Number two, engine. I think that S65 naturally aspirated V8 engine in the M3 is one of the most beautiful motors that's come out in recent times. Absolutely amazing, revving to more than 8,000 RPM, no turbo, lighter than the engine before it. It sounds amazing. It has a good amount of power, cost, and reliability. I think this is a factor which scares a lot of people. I think for the first 5 or 6 years, if you read interviews, talk to people, they thought that car was bulletproof, right? That's what people said about it, that finally you've got a bulletproof M3. And it was only later that people started figuring out that, oh, you had a few issues. And I think the M3 is actually a pretty sorted car, apart from one thing, and that's the rod bearings, right? And when you buy an M3, you pretty much have to think of rod bearings as regular maintenance. Think of it as your Camry doing an oil change. That's how the M3 treats rod bearings, right? Sometimes it's up to 60,000 kilometers. People are changing their rod bearings. It's just how the car was designed. It had very tight tolerances. Now, if you stay up to speed with that maintenance, and sometimes people go after market, I'm not going to speculate on, different rod bearings and their quality, but effectively, you can make them last longer. But really, if you change your rod bearings periodically and consider it a wear item, $5,000 to $6,000 is that's what it's going to cost you. If you do that, you've got a really reliable motor that's not going to blow up on you, guys. It's not going to catastrophically explode on you or start knocking on you, as long as you're up to speed with your rod bearings. Now, there's other items like throttle actuators, and Achilles heel for the M3 is those rod bearings, and if you treat those as preventative maintenance, then that goes away. What's next? I think all the other issues are just age-related issues. You'll have to do a lot of fluids. You'll have to change your spark plugs. You'll have to look at your throttle actuators, electronics, things to do with your suspension. You'll have to do that work simply because it's an old German car out of warranty. And I think those things on an M3, yes, it's a V8, but they're not as complex as they really could have been, right? They're still expensive, but it's an M3. And, a saving grace might be that at least it's not twin turbos, right? Because if a turbo goes on you, that's going to be $5,000 to $6,000 a turbo. So at least you're working with a naturally aspirated engine. The next thing I want to talk about is comparison, right? Series has a cool factor, right? When you drive an old BMW, I've got a 2015 BMW here, and I like to think that this BMW is pretty cool, but it's not quite old enough yet, right? If I see someone with an E92 M3 or an E90 M3, and it's well taken care of, right? It doesn't sound poor or its body's not breaking apart or anything. If I see a well-maintained BMW, I will think this person has taste. They know their cars, they like their cars, and they like their BMWs. If I see someone in a G Series M3, to be honest, I'll probably not know if they're a car person or they have a good amount of money and they just want to get the top spec BMW, right?